This is a breaking news alert from 24-Hour News 8.
And good afternoon again, everyone. Breaking news we're following right now. Several buildings damaged by a severe storm in Portland.
We do have new video coming in from the scene. Among the buildings damaged, the Goodwill, Rite Aid, and a church. This is on East Grand River Avenue on the east side of Portland. The good news is that so far we have not heard of any injuries. We do have multiple crews that are just arriving in Portland to assess the damage there.
Let's go out live to a live press conference right now with the fire chief.
I'm sorry, to my left, to my right is Ionia County Sheriff Dale Miller. Approximately 14:45 hours today, we started receiving calls of damages to buildings and high winds. Fire department, EMS, and police were dispatched at that time to the area.
This is a breaking news alert from 24-Hour News 8.
One thing I need to get out right now to the public, we understand your concern, we understand your loved ones, but you need to stay out of the area. This area, the entire city right now is unsecured. We've got structures that are not secure, we've got gas leaks. Stay out of the area, please. I implore you. We'll try to update you again when we start finding out more things that are going on. But pretty much in a nutshell, that's what's going on.
That was the warning this afternoon from the Portland fire chief after what is believed to be a powerful tornado ripped through town. And just moments ago, we got this video into our newsroom. This is all new footage tonight, drone video from high above Portland to show you the incredible damage, the widespread damage here. Roofs ripped right off. You can see from this vantage point just how strong this system was. That's why we are throwing a lot of resources at this breaking news story at this hour. We've got crews, 4 of them, on the ground in Portland tonight, plus, of course, our valuable team coverage from Storm Team 8.
But we start with 24-Hour News 8's Marley Ginter, field anchoring from storm-ravaged Portland tonight. Marley, what are you seeing?
Well, Sue and Brian, quite incredible to be on the ground here, being able to see all of this damage up close. In fact, there's some of the debris right here at our feet. You can see boards that were just flown over this way, some of more debris over this way. They're keeping this area blocked off. As you can see, the caution tape is up here as well. Emergency crews out here trying to work as quickly as they can. One of our reporters, 24-Hour News 8's Joe LaFergie, was first on the scene assessing the damage, speaking with people out here. We want to go to him now. He is in this area as well to get just an idea of what has happened out here. Joe?
Yeah, Marley, and again, as we said just a few minutes ago, you take a couple steps away and you get a different vantage point of the damage here. But just take a look at the Mission store behind you. You can see that wall is collapsed, the roof basically sheared off. But then look a little bit to the west, down the residential neighborhoods of Portland. That's where you get to where all the people live, and it's a mess down there.
24-Hour News 8's Joe LaFergie getting into some neighborhoods there in Portland now for our first look at some of the damage in the residential areas. Joe?
Yeah, Brian, Sue, I want to show you. We are at Newton and James Street, just a block or so away from where the storm hit that commercial district you keep seeing, but the damage is terrible here in the neighborhoods, and this is not the worst of it. You can see they're trying to wrench that big what's left of that tree off that man's brand new boat, trying to get it out of there using some heavy equipment. And it is a typical kind of storm damage you would see in this situation throughout this neighborhood. Take a look over here. It gets much worse. Take a look at this tree and the size of the root ball on that. That is nothing compared to some of the other sites we've seen here. Sue, I want to bring in Adam Phelps. Adam, you're from Portland. You were headed down to Grand River to a store today to get a phone upgrade, and Correct. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so I was driving down Bridge Street, and the Verizon store is right next to the Goodwill you can see in the background here. I was pulling in, and this is kind of when the water kind of washed over my car. And as soon as that happened, the store started shaking, the power went out.
We'll get back with Joe just as soon as we can. We'd like to go to this live news conference right now with authorities in Portland. Let's listen in.
We're very, very fortunate. We have had no fatalities reported this time, minimal injuries, cuts and bruises. We have had no one transported to the hospital.
So with me right now is Jill Wallace, and you are with Goodwill. Can't imagine what's going through everyone's mind right now. You know, when you look at this now, you just arrived on scene, stepped off a plane. What have you been able to see of the damage at Goodwill?
Well, certainly there's a lot of damage. Our store is probably totaled. We don't know. We can't get close enough, and understandably so. But we're really focused on the fact that our customers are safe and our employees are safe.
I want to walk right now over to Ken Coker because he actually has been speaking with people all day long as well, hearing just an incredible story of survival, Ken.
Yeah, Marley, this is Chuck and Sue Burns. Now, they actually live in that greenhouse. Now, they were upstairs when this hit. Just tell us what happened, how this went down.
Honestly, it was so fast. I was talking on the phone with my daughter-in-law, and she was saying how bad the rain was at her house, 2 miles away. And I said it wasn't even raining at our house, and the next thing I knew, it started raining. And then the rain didn't just come down, it started coming down sideways. And then our walls started to shake and pictures were falling off.
I want to bring in Storm Team 8's meteorologist, Ellen Baca. I truly love hearing your assessment of all of this, especially with Storm Team 8's background and all of the experience that you guys have. You were able to walk around this area, take a look at some of the damage. Was this a tornado?
It's looking like a tornado. Earlier today in Wyoming, that was a microburst. This, with this long track damage and the fact that we had not just one, not just two, but several homes that were almost exploded from the inside, is a sign that we usually look for that's indicative of a tornado. So with damage this extensive, I'm thinking EF1 definitely. It might be borderline a little bit stronger. Some of the historic places that we've been seeing, some of the historic churches in town, there was all three sustained damage, and those are some pretty powerful buildings there. They're built well, So the fact that those sustained damage really means that we had a very powerful storm through here.
And give us an idea of how you really know then. When you're looking at some of these, some of the damage that you're seeing, what is a red flag as to, okay, this wasn't straight line winds, this was a tornado? What, if you could list off some of the things that you saw, that's a red flag.
Right, a huge red flag. When we were touring some of those neighborhoods, we saw a 2x4 and it was completely shoved into a roof. It didn't just hit the roof, it wasn't just settled on the roof, it was shoved into the roof. We also saw countless windows, dozens and dozens of windows that were just exploded from the inside. So the glass was actually pushed outward. And sometimes we see that with tornadoes. The air is pushed into the building and then that difference in pressure explodes one side out.
Amidst all of this, we did talk to a woman who is just feeling so incredibly grateful tonight because she was in that Goodwill store with her 2 young sons as the roof came down, and she explained to us the moments right before it happened.
I definitely had the instinct to cover the kids, and knowing that the roof was likely going to cave after those windows blow, I know that that's from pressure. So a number of things could happen. So I knew I had to protect them.
So you heard any mom's instinct. She wants to cover her kids as soon as she knows that there's any sort of danger. She told us she didn't hear anything. She didn't hear any sirens. She didn't hear that telltale freight train sound that tornadoes make. All she said she heard was the glass breaking, and the next thing she knew, the roof had come down.
Live from the 24-hour tracking center, this is a severe weather alert.
Boy, is that an eerie and unwelcome sound tonight in Portland. Tornado sirens just went off just minutes ago. We're told, though, an untrained spotter saw a funnel cloud, and out of an abundance of caution, the sirens were sounded. Storm Team 8 does not think there is another tornado out here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Marley Ginter. Here in Portland, where the cleanup is underway, just a lot of caution out here right now as people are bracing for yet another storm system to move through. We know that it was a tornado that touched down here in Portland earlier today, in EF1, winds up to 100 miles an hour. And you have to see this new aerial video that we have in tonight. Roofs blown apart on 3 churches, concerns that one of the steeples may soon fall over. And then look at this, another building's roof is entirely gone. You can actually look inside it like a dollhouse. Police say 85 structures were damaged with winds around, again, 100 miles an hour. Amazingly, though, everyone survived. Now, our team is looking at all of the angles, the damage, the cleanup efforts, and of course the tornado itself. But first, though, let's head back to Brian Sterling in studio. Brian?
Thank you, Marley. First, we want to get an update on the developing weather situation that's unfolding out there right now. Much of our area is under a tornado watch.
Estimated 70 homes were damaged. Some were destroyed. Some had their roofs completely torn off. Others lost siding. A dozen businesses were damaged. A woman and her kids had to be rescued from the Goodwill after it collapsed. You're going to hear from the mother in just a moment who had to shield her children. And then 3 churches saw extensive damage. First Baptist, United Methodist, and First Congregational. The 175-year-old First Baptist Church lost much of its roof. A live report from that area is just moments away. But right now I'm joined by meteorologist Ellen Baca to pinpoint more exactly the path of this EF1 twister.
You know, we've been out with survey crews all day to look at all the damage and kind of put together the pieces, and here's what we do know. The path length is about 4 miles long, and even though the damage seems fairly extensive, the tornado itself was likely only 50 to 100 yards wide, so fairly small. It started outside of town on Friend Road between Ionia and Gibbs, and from there, it tracked southeast, hitting the football fields, the churches, and the businesses before it lifted. And the fact that there is a path at all is one of the most compelling signs that this actually was a tornado. We've also seen some other indicators. For example, we saw 2x4s thrown into houses and debris that was widely scattered. Those are signs of a tornado. And although this storm was warned as severe, it struck too fast for a tornado warning to be issued.
Well, we get a low-level scan about every 2 to 3 minutes. With this storm being on the ground only about 10 minutes, it was probably 2 to 3 minutes before it picked up anything that would have carried it high enough for our radar beam to detect. And at the same time, it looks like the width of this tornado was probably about 50 yards or less.
We want to continue our team coverage tonight with 24-hour News 8's Danny Carlson, who spoke with people who are left picking up the pieces, and they're getting help from all over.
You know what, Marley, you can still see the destruction around here. I mean, you can still see root balls that are up. You can still see branches that are broken. And we did hear the words that you would expect to hear today, things like shocked, things like surreal. But the thing that we also heard were words like awesome. And that was in response to the community response, everyone coming together to help each other clean up after this storm.
It's kind of a hometown thing.
Except Cole Payne and Steve Teenan don't actually live in Portland. They live about 10 miles outside of town. That's a world away today. But the 2 Eagle Scouts grabbed some water to share and a chainsaw, helping whoever needed it, repeatedly answering the same question.
Mainly what group we were with, like what department, companies, like the Boy Scouts.
Teenan and Payne were the rule today and not the exception. Everywhere you looked, neighbors were helping each other dig, saw, and carry their way out.
Now, right now I'm joined by TUTT Gorman, Portland's city manager. Thank you so much, Mr. Gorman, for being with us tonight. Now, I understand that you guys have now declared a state of emergency locally. Can you explain what that means for people?
Sure. Actually, yeah, that's sort of a protocol you go through when you have situations like this. And so, obviously, the local agencies have to do so when they think they've exhausted their resources. We did this, the City of Portland did this in concert with the Ionia County. Their chair, Julie Calley, she signed the declaration. It essentially says that we declare the state of emergency here locally. Obviously, that triggers a lot of resources to us here locally, and clearly we have the standard to meet that.
All morning long, we're going to be bringing you live coverage here from Portland in the aftermath of that EF1 tornado that touched down here yesterday. That massive storm, but what it left behind is going to be an even more massive cleanup. I want to give you a little look at just one of these buildings that was hit by this storm. It's a drugstore, a Rite Aid here on Grand River Avenue in Portland. I mean, there is debris scattered all across this parking lot. There are items, merchandise from inside the store that have made their way out into this parking lot. The front door was shattered, the glass shattered, so crews from Livonia, Michigan, an emergency responder crew came out here. They patched up this building. And right now, I'm joined by the mayor of Portland, Mayor James Barnes. And Mr. Barnes, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I imagine for any mayor, there are some nights, there are some long days, but what has the last 16 hours been like for you?
Well, I've been overwhelmed by the efficiency not only of the city, but also of the responders from the police departments in the area, the state police, the ambulance crews that were here on standby, the fire department. It's been an incredible experience just to see how everything has come together so well, and to be especially grateful for the fact that no one was killed and no one was really seriously injured.